this was just not to make a break. So we are on page Samach Gimel. Hashem said, so to speak, speaking to himself, am I going to conceal from Avraham what I intend to do? This is a pasuk in conjunction with the ultimate destruction of Sodom and Gemora, where their fate was sealed. Hashem said, at first I have to tell Avraham about it. And there's a whole discussion, a whole debate. Avraham confronted the Beis and said, how can you do this, and so forth, until he had no other kindness anymore. The Yisem medrash Rabbah, Beis, Perek Tesvav, the Afkuf Lamed Amid Gimel, medrash Rabbah says like this: Noson ho'elikim ho'olam li'Avraham. Hashem gave the world to Avraham. How do we know that Hashem gave the world to Avraham? Shenemar, as it says in the Pasuk, Hamchasa ani me'Avraham. Can I possibly conceal from Avraham what I'm going to do in the world? Destroying Sodom. Rashi essentially brings down the gist of this medrash. V'yisa sham. And there in the medrash it says, Moshe lemelach, which is comparable to a king, Shehoyolei ben, who had a son, and he gave him rulership in all of his possessions. Omar haben liyovi. So then the son said to his father, Im ein atonation lias hakisei, if you're not going to give me also the throne, hey hakil yoidim shatam is mechavavang. How will everybody know that you have special affection for me? Etc. So therefore, ultimately the king gives the throne to the son. Kach. This is like a mashal. This is an analogous to the story with Avraham. No, son ho'elikim ho'elam li'Avraham. Hashem gave the world to Avraham. Just want to conclude this medrash, it doesn't, because it says, can I conceal from Avraham? So Rashi brings it down also. How can I possibly conceal Avraham? I have gave him rulership over the world. So how can I? And these cities belong to him. How can I do anything in these cities without his consent, his knowledge and his consent? So this is basically what this medrash is saying.
Question: since we're starting a new mamar, is the new mamar related to the previous one? Is there any connection?
Yes.
Because I wasn't there, so I wasn't there when you finished it. So I wonder if there is aura for the previous mamar. Is there like a conclusion you would like to? Since there's more people here.
Good question. Well, I'll tell you. We already spent 3 days on the conclusion of the Maimon. And they finally made the bridge. We have that, it's all recorded. And if you have any difficulty with the recordings, then you can confront me and I'll help you. Thanks to Yonis, and everything is there. Everything that I said, not everything is there, but everything that I said.
We worked on the conclusion of the Mamar by the Rebbe. I was wondering if you could come up with a conclusion from your own perspective, your own opinion on the Mamar itself.
Anything I had to say, I said on the conclusion of the Mamar.
Okay.
I'm not going to make my own conclusion to that. Halabai, I should correctly explain the Rebbe's conclusion.
Okay.
All right. So Hashem gave the world to Avram. Omer Avram. So then Avram said, Amen atonois li mekem hamigdosh. If you will not also give me the place of the mikdosh, lein osatu li klum, then it will be considered, as far as I'm concerned, you give me nothing. No, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So then HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to him Chol ma shebikesh mimenu. Everything as Avram asked. What?
It's in the same medrash? This is all in the same medrash.
Yeah. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu then gave Avram everything that he asked for.
So that's connected to this whole episode with the even though he's mentioning it's only these cities of Sodom, but yet he's mentioning the Mikdash over here. But yet it's the connection.
We brought down the story with the Sodom because in that pasuk there is an allusion to the fact that it belongs to Abraham. Otherwise, why can he conceal anything from him? On the basis of that, there is a further discussion and so forth. So now we need to understand what is the significance? What does it mean that the world was given to Avraham? And then also, what is the meaning that Avraham also asked for the place of the Mikdash? And Avraham said to Avraham, you gave me nothing if you don't give me also the place of the Mikdash. What is this all about? How can it be said that giving the world is nothing? And then, on the other hand, the implication is that if in fact he will give the place of the Mikdash, then with that, everything has been given to him. Therefore, we need to understand clearly this phenomenon. We need to understand what is the meaning that without the place of the Mikdash, he gave him nothing. But with that, with the Mikdash, then it turns out that he gave him everything. What is this pivotal thing of giving the Mikdash? To understand this entire discussion, we need to revisit again and bring back what we already explained previously. The malas haneshomos regarding the special quality, special status of neshomas. Shehi is havuson mizivu gufni dezum. That the neshomas, they are created by what's called zivu gufni, a bodily joining of zum, which means, as we discussed then, shezehu hashpo pnimis v'atzmus de'insef. Zivu Gufni represents a hashpah pnimis v'atzmus. We represent an essential hashpah from Ein Sof, not a quality hashpah, an intellectual and emotional, but an essential, the very essence. The malachim, explain the malachim, his avusa mizivu gruchni. The malachim, they are created from zivu gruchni de avot, from a higher level of zivu gruchni, the joining of avot of chokhmah. Avot means avaim, chokhmah ubina, which is a much higher level than zum, than zah. But never, so this is a higher level, but shehu inyan zivug nishikim, but this is what's called zivug nishikim, a zivug that is of a very fine quality, that's called nishikim, a kiss. Shezehu hashpah chitzenis, So even though this is of a higher quality, but the hashpah that is transmitted thereby is a hashpah chitzeini, is only an external hashpah. Bechinas ha'ora levad. Hashpah chitzeini is an aspect that's called ha'ora levad, only a ha'ora. The principle of ha'ora be discussed. I don't want to stop right away. We're going to go into Maimer. Just want to, the principle of ha'ora we already discussed. Ha'ora means a reflection. A reflection may be a reflection, a total reflection of the entire truth. But it's nevertheless, it's only an allusion to the truth. It is not the actual presence. It's a very clear and a very fine allusion to this truth. But it doesn't give him the essential reality itself. Aval hanashomis, or the neshomis, shehei miziva gufni dezum. They are created by what's called ziva gufni, a bodily joining of zun, of the lower spheres and atzilus. Arei ze bechinas hashpah atzmis. That represents a kind of hashpah that's called atzmis. Atzmis means the very metzias, the very presence itself is given. I'll come back just to give us a little bit more of a handle, even though we already learned lochein. And for this reason, because that the neshamas have an element, what's called hashpah atzmis. Hamshachas ho'eres atzmiyim. Therefore, the drawing down and bringing forth into the world, oiras atzmiyim, the oiras that represent, that are essential oiras. And this was it's also the Haino Hamshachas Gushosa Yizborich, which is Hamshachas Gushosa Yizborich, bringing down the godly holiness itself. Who rag bi choras and shomas Yisrael is only in the capacity, capability of the shomas Yisrael, lahamshich, to bring it down. The reason that they can elicit that type of hashpah, mitnei sheshoshem migdushos ha'atzmis, because that is where they are rooted, in gdushos ha'atzmis. Alkein, and therefore, that's and for this reason, v'yicholtom lahamshich gdushos ha'atzmusa yisborich. They are able to be mamshich, to bring down Kedushas Atzmusa, the Kedusha of Atzmus Olakus itself, not only a Ha'ora. Just very briefly, since the Rebbe brings it down, obviously this is necessary to understand the rest of the Maimon. For us, this whole presentation is a kind of revolutionary. Even though we learned so much, we learned on the previous Maimon and all that, it's revolutionary due to our prejudice, so our preconceived idea of what reality is. Therefore, this whole thing becomes like a complete reversal of our normal, natural view of things. The principle that we must bring to our consciousness as often as possible is that despite the fact that what appears to us is, the health of the body is paramount, and all the functioning qualities, the seichel and the midos, this is what the human being is. This is what he stands for. This is his reality. In absolute truth, the reality is way above that. to put it in very simple terms, and this will help everybody just to reflect on it. The will to live, that is a human being. This is the essence of the human being. Not all his intellectual pursuits and understanding and all his emotions, all that is absolutely dependent on that principle, on that reality. This is what makes him real. Everything else is drawn from that. How do you draw from that? To reveal and to actually reflect that powerful reality, the will to live. And the will to live, as we discuss all the time, the rotzen, the will, this is not the will to live, that he wants to live, not to die. He doesn't want to get hurt. That is not what we're talking about. I said, in our world, we hardly are aware of that reality. Because everything we are preoccupied almost on a constant basis to alleviate problems, to solve problems, to alleviate discomfort. Like we discussed the other day, the story with the Rebbe Narash asking the guy, why do you want to live? Why do you eat? So the guy said, because I want to live. And we said that this is already a tremendous madrega. It's a human insight. The guy who spent so many hours in the courtyard of the Rebbe, had gotten this kind of a refinement that he was able to answer like this. Normally, what one would answer in the world, I want to eat, so I won't be hungry. So I won't be hungry. It is not a sense of reality. If I don't eat, I'll be hungry. I feel uncomfortable when I'm hungry, so therefore I want to eat. This guy said, I want to eat because I want to live. The story, was the story was pointed, this is still on a guy's level, but nevertheless, it's already a realization. It's already an intellectual realization of something superior, something out of the worldly experience. Please let's understand it like this. The worldly experience is I feel hungry. When I'm hungry, I'm uncomfortable. And I want to alleviate this discomfort. That's the worldly experience. To be conscious that forget about the worldly experience. Be conscious of something that is intangible. I want to live. This is why I eat. This wanting to live is not to alleviate discomfort. Alleviate discomfort is to alleviate the hunger. This is not a negative and alleviate and fundamental. This is a positive, this is a force in the soul of man. And this guy, as I said, because of his very close proximity, very close involvement in the household of the Rebbe, had gotten a sense of a very, very fine sense of reality. I want to live. Ask him, why do you want to live? Go back into the world. But I want to live. Life is a valuable thing, per se, not because I'm avoiding anything negative. This want, this rotzen, this is representative of nefesh, of the reality of nefesh. This is not a spiritual, this is not an element of saying, I have a reason. This is sensing the godly reality. The godly reality that mentioned all the time, like the Rambam says, motivation. It's the reality itself. It's the first being. There is no cause for it. There is no reason for it. It's way beyond cause and reason. This is the meaning that neshamas, there is the zivug ruchni and zivug gufni. Malachim, they are created from zivug ruchni. It's called Abba, from Chochmah and Bina and so forth. So it's phenomenal madregas. But Chochmah or Bina, this is not, even though they represent the highest sense of what can be understood. But this is not the reality in itself. Chochmah and Bina are drawn from the Ratzon HaNefesh. So essentially, Chochmah and Bina, if we were to put it in structure, because I want to live, therefore I understand such and such. But the primary thing is the Ratzon. This primary thing of Ratzon, which is representative of the primary reality of godliness itself, God itself, Ein Sof, this is within, imbued in the neshamas. This is what the neshamas represent. Malachim do not possess that quality, that element.
They don't possess the Ratzon element?
Huh?
They don't possess the Ratzon element?
Right. Represents the starting from Seichel on down. They rooted in Avo. I will just repeat something that I said in the past to give us a tangible sense and also provide food for thought, which everyone has to examine in his own mind. There's an interesting phenomenon. This is happening to us all the time without, of course, paying attention to it. You can stand outside and look through the window, and by observing through the window, you can see absolutely everything going on inside. Not only going on, I mean, you can see the whole structure, all the pieces of furniture, every safe and every human being, everything you can observe from outside. Not just by just observing, looking at it. Compare that, realize that awareness, with stepping inside and being inside. Being inside, you're not observing anything. You're not aware of anything. What are you aware? You're aware of the reality itself. This cannot be described in words, the difference. But this is something which we have in our intelligence to understand the difference. This is only the human being, only the neshama is capable of recognizing the distinction. Because the neshama relates to truth, to reality. Truth, not truth relative to falsehood. Truth means a real presence. Not a representation of existence. Observation is only a representation of existence. Being inside, you may not be aware at all what's going on, but you have everything. And everything makes a difference to you, everything touches you, everything is significant. This is the reality. Observation, everything has, you're judging whatever you see, you're judging good, bad, right, I agree, I disagree. You're not really involved in it. I like or don't like.
Yet we say that this is equated with rotzon. In other words, I could picture standing inside the building and just being like, standing there without any kind of, I'm just here. But rotzon implies like he's, fully involved and
if you do not have rotzon, then you will not be in here.
Rotzon is what gets you in there?
No, rotzon is what relates you to the reality. Whether you appreciate it or not, that's something else. If you understand the difference between standing outside and observing and being inside, that is a fundamental difference between living, I said many times, when a human being sees and a camera sees, is the same thing? Not the same. This is the big error in the world. Oh, there's nothing to sight because the camera can also see. The camera does not bring you inside. The human being sees from
the
inside.
The experience of being inside is like the rotzon.
But this is life itself. How do you experience it? Because I am. This is the meaning that neshamas have an inyan atzmi. Malachim are much superior to neshamas in terms of their faculties, of their seichel, their understanding. Malachim they're in constant state of burning up in kedusha. Kaloi nefesh. But they don't compare to neshamas in terms of their real representation of Elokus. They actually represent Elokus.
Doesn't seichel have to be based on rotzon? In other words, we say rotzon is the mark of a seichel. It doesn't, and we say here the malachim of seichel, but they don't have rotzon. So what kind of seichel is that?
This is why they and their seichel get burned up. It's not real seichel. By neshamas, the seichel brings about midas. So he's bring about action. Malachim is just this is their experience. It's not. Okay, this question is a broader question, but yes, they're always lacking the sense of reality. This is Malachim change from day to day. It says their name changes according to the shlichus in which they are sent. A shliach doesn't change his name. He's the same person. He may be a shliach of 1 day old or 30 years. It's the same name, same person. Okay, I just want to have some tangible way of if we want to reflect on, we have a sense of what's made reality. Reality is exclusively from godliness, from the godly truth. The world does not have a reality except for that, his relationship to God. Omnam, however, or in truth, lefi hanal, according to the above, the mal as neshamas. We have pointed out in the Milo of Neshomas, Shashar Shom Yichud Gufni, where they are rooted. The Yichud Gufni, what's called the bodily joining. Bodily joining is possible only when there is an essential oil, an oil atzmi that can join two separate bodies. Therefore, tzorich lehovin. Therefore, we need to understand let me discuss a little bit of this, and people's mind will float away. We have, as a human being, we have all kinds of faculties, all kinds of capabilities. The hand is extremely dexterous, extremely capable. Indescribable what the hand is capable of. Now, the hand is controlled, is inspired, and directed by the mind. The mind says, do this, and the hand does this. Now think about this. Imagine if this were correct. That in fact, the hand is joined to the mind on a ruchnisdike level. Because the hand appreciates the supremacy of the mind. And it says, yeah, the mind tells me to do it, I better do it. I know it's the right thing to do. Sounds good, right? Imagine that this were the human fact. The hand is a separate entity from the mind, but it appreciates the influence of the mind. The mind says this is what you're supposed to do, so I do it. That would be, despite the fact that the hand is then reflective of the phenomenal intellect and realization of the mind, it is not really alive. It is not a real thing. What in fact connects the hand to the mind the rotzen. Same rotzen is in the mind that's in the hand. The exact same rotzen. It's not a transmission. It's the exact same rotzen. Because the life element is in the hand, the same life element that's in the mind. So that when the hand acts according to the directive of the mind, it is not two separate entities. The hand obeys the mind, or follows or appreciates the mind. The mind is the hand is directly reflective of the mind. One thing. This is pshat a zivug gufni. There's a gashmic connection. A connection from Gashmi, connection on an essential level. There needs not be a command, a directive coming from the mind to the hand.
It needs not be. We start out saying the hand follows the mind's direction. Now we're saying there needs not be.
That's it. That's it.
That's where we went. Okay.
That's the danger I own.
Yeah.
This is what appears to be.
Right.
But if we really examine and say, if this were the case, what would the human being look like? Like a robot.
Yeah.
So although this union is at a lower level, it's at the level of, so to speak, of the mitzias, of the essential presence. But in fact, it is at a lower level only in terms of its expression, of its spirit, of the seichel. But it's a much higher level in terms of the essence. There's essential reality in the hand as much as there's essential reality in the brain, in the mind. The same neshama is present in the mind, and that's present in the hand.
So it's a much higher representation of the essence, much higher than what?
There are two distinct aspects. There is higher and lower, and there is essential and higher. Higher and lower is in the higher, in the faculties level. Seichel and midas. Seichel is higher than midas. In terms of the essential elements, midas are even higher than seichel. Midas are more reflected the rotzen than seichel. So the principle that we are required to understand here is that the essence, even though in terms of its realization, in terms of revelations, it's lower, but really in essence it is much higher. Because it's reflective of the reality itself.
So I don't want to ask details. I just want to. Are you trying to make? Are we making distinctions now between, like, in other words, the hand has more reflective of ratzon than the heart than other things, or we just? I got a little.
No.
We're saying basically the difference between.
No.
The hand represents ratzon.
The fact that the hand is able to represent seichel is wonderful, but that's not the real thing. The real thing is that it reflected the mind directly.
That's the life element.
The life element, exactly.
As opposed to what it can do.
And we looked at that. We're looking at that because that shows on a yichud.
So this is the difference between yichud chitzoni and yichud pnim, or yichud gufni or yichud ruchni. There's a difference between malachim and neshamas.
Are we on the conference call now?
Yeah.
The best that I know.
Yeah. Because the code wasn't working. 0770 was.
Well,
sometimes it just bugs out. You gotta try again.
Well, if the code doesn't work, that doesn't mean that we're not in conference. We are in conference. Yeah.
You are on conference. That's for
okay.
Sure.
Confirm it from the conference itself. Thank you.
We're here.
Thank you. Okay, so this is.
And Rabbi Paltiel?
Yes, sir.
I want to interrupt it for a moment. So, this whole discussion of Rotzain is for the sake of understanding the difference between the Zivug Rufni and Gufni.
Right.
And Rotzain is connected with Zivug Gufni.
Right. So the same to understand.
Zivug Rufni is lower than that.
Zivug Rufni is lower than that in terms of essence, but it's higher than that in terms of its revelation, of its expression.
Bina is Zivug Rufni.
Right. It's a very fine, like I say, Zivug Nishiki. It's a very fine expression. But it doesn't, but the Zivug Gufni is a completely different, this is the essence itself.
And this Gufni was the way the hand and all parts are through and through alive.
With the same life as the brain is. And they respond to the brain not because by response, but because they are one with it.
Which sounds like super Gufni.
That's what essence is.
Right, okay. I
The
guess
reason we say Gufni is because we're talking about Zivug. Zivug, so you have to have two things, and we say Zivug Gufni. But Zivug Gufni is possible only because there is an essential relation.
Are we saying that between Chochmah and Bina there is no essential relationship? Why
Right.
Chochmah?
Chochmah and Bina is a ruchnisdike relationship.
One affects the other by virtue of being able to come down and what do we mean by that? I'm sorry if I'm going too far.
Bina, well, maybe going further. Bina observes the Chochmah and draws from it what it can do. Somebody is calling you.
that's David. I called him. He's wants to listen like that.
All right. Okay, so let's go to the third line of the second section on this mimer. So Shomesh Yisrael, Knesset Yisrael are requesting that there should be Gilu Nishikin Elyon. Nishikin means a kiss. A kiss is a very fine expression of a relationship. But it's only an expression, it's not the reality of it.
Sorry, Neshama requests that?
There should be Nishikin, there should be that relationship of Nishikin, of a kiss, Milmayla.
A kiss between who, what and what?
From God to the Shomesh Yisrael. Shekein Mashin is spirit. Well, now, but according to what we just explained, ain't a move on. We don't understand this whole phenomenon. Saying that Meshikin is only a reflection of the real thing. And the Neshomas on the other hand, Shehem Mizivu Gufni, Neshomas who are rooted and come into being as a result of Zivu Gufni. Hareze Hashpo Atzmis. Thus it means that Neshomas contain Hashpo Atzmis, an essential part of God. Hare, thus it means Shehem Bedargo Har Beyeser, that they're in Madrege much higher. Me'inyan bechinas aneshikim, than the union of the aspect of neshikim. Now I want to call your attention to the subtlety in this presentation, which is extremely important to notice the subtleties. Then there are certain things that lack the words to express. Well, let's go back to these last words. Harei shehei, harei, therefore it means shehei that the neshomas are bedargo har beyeser. Are in madrege har beyeser, much more. That's what har beyeser. What would be the normal expression if it were a fully structured sentence? Har bedargo elyono yeser. Right? A higher madrege. Was means a darga harbe yesef.
It's much more. It's much more.
It means much more. Darga.
Distinct.
Huh?
A distinct relationship.
Again.
Dark is a level, no?
What?
Dark is
Darg is a level. A level has to be described in terms of Elyon and Tachten, higher and lower. Doesn't say that. Harbe Yesef. A darga that's much more. A darga much more doesn't fit. It's not a proper structure of language.
Doesn't it mean much greater?
Okay, what it means, this is why it's such a difficult thing to express. The dargo harbe yesef means, yes, it is much superior, but not higher. It's not a question of higher.
More essential.
It's more real. The dargo, in a real sense of dargo, harbe yesef, they're much more. They have much more than Maloch, than the Shikim. And yet, it is appropriate. This is what the subtlety is. Appropriate to use the word darga, a madrega, because what's the significance of a higher madrega? What's the difference between a high madrega and a lower madrega? High madrega means you have a greater understanding and knowledge of the truth. That's what the higher madrega. Here you have a dargo, a madrega, and therefore you have much more in this lower madrega than in a high madrega. The madrega harbe yesef, you have much more in this madrega. This is the meaning dargo harbe yesef. This darga cannot be judged in terms of higher and lower.
Again, why is it called a darga?
A darga means a relative relationship. Right? That's what a darga is. That's why it's called a darga. In terms of their relationship, they have much more. But their relationship, darga, harbe yesef. So this is alluding completely different perspective, not a higher level. The word higher would have not expressed what the Rebbe wants to express here.
Meaning in quality? Qualitatively? Different quality?
Yes, Elyon is also different quality. But this is a different quality in terms of how you measure dargas. You're smiling because you get it, and because you don't get it.
Because I see that you're walking on a tightrope.
The phenomenal thing that gets you so shocked, the care and the clarity and the allusions in the expression. This is possible, I just want to explain to you. This type of fine presentation of something which is not presentable is possible only if you are standing there and you're looking at it. It's presenting itself. If you have to figure out rationally, logically, and so on, you never come up with this. This is Sivan Gufni. This is the real thing. This is, that's what I say, everybody's talking about AyinBase. This is the uniqueness of AyinBase. This AyinBase, the other AyinBase. AyinBase is presenting in a form of a Sivan Guf.
It's presenting what?
Presenting in the form of Zivu Gufni. And you can read it and say, oh, he means that, let's go back to it.
We're still talking about relation between Neshama and Hashem, right?
Relationship between Neshama and Hashem. Shem bedarga har beyeser. Meyinyan bechinas hashiki. They have much more of a darga than the union from the shiki. Bimkein, and therefore we have the question: Mahu inyan habakosha yishokeini. What is the significance? What is behind this request of the Shomas Yisrael, of Knesset Yisrael? Yishokeini, that I should get the union from the shiking, where in fact they have much more than that. Ahu inyan hu, however, the inyan is. Okay, now we're going into a different discussion. The inyan nishikin, we have to understand that nishikin harein hein b'madrego elyoino yoiser migufni. Nishikin are in a higher madrege than gufni. Shehanishikin hein be'avo. The difference is that the Nishikin are ba'avo. Ba'avo means avo'im, which is the Kabbalah's form of Chochma and Bina. The Gufni hu bezun. And Gufni is on a much lower madrege. Zun. Zun is Zo and Malchus, which is much lower than Avo, than Chochma and Bina. We are going to interrupt now, and I'm not going to be here for the rest of the week. Just want to give us again a little bit food for thought. The difference between Chochma and Bina, of intellect in general, and emotion, and the other forms of cognizance, of recognition, and connecting, is as follows. We always know that Chochma is defined as Bina. Chochma is at the highest level of Bina. That's why in Chochma you can actually observe the reality itself. Just like in sight, we always point out sight is reflective of Chochma. Sight, the real sight is that you connect directly to the object that you see. But you are a separate entity. So how can you connect to the object you see? This is from Bina. I let the object come, I let myself to relate to this object without interfering with it, without trying to know it through my own experience. I don't have to confirm that the object exists by my experience. I can touch. Object exists because it exists. But you are a separate thing. I'm portal to that knowledge. This is here from the ear, and this is here of Choch. This is the principle of Seichel. This is why Seichel is such a phenomenal thing. Real Seichel, not Stusselige Seichel. A real intellect, not the instinct. This is the knowledge of a neshama reality. This type of sensitivity is possible only because of the neshama. I'm not affected, so therefore how do I know it? I know that there is a truth. I know there is a motorisha. And therefore I can relate to this truth also. Doesn't have to touch me or affect me. Das is Seichel. Okay. I'm getting nod of recognition. The zivug of Chochmah and Bina is to the beetle, both of Chochmah and Bina. Even though Bina is already a Metzius. But the zivug of Bina and Chochmah is that Bina is, that Bina also submits itself to the Chochmah. And it wants to recognize that which Chochmah sees. Chochmah does not give a Metzius, a tangible Metzius to Bina. But Chochmah sees it and Bina says, oh, you see it? Okay, so let me see what you see. Let me understand what you're seeing. Bina actually is also based on Bina, and not on the same level as Chochmah. But the of Bina is to know what Chochmah is seeing. That's what Ayin is. So this is that the zivuk of Chochmah and Bina, of Neshikim, is much higher, because but it's lacking the Metzius because it's through the union from beetle. So at beetle I can see the truth itself. I don't have to be involved, I don't have to confirm it.
What was that last point? Sorry, what was the last point that you just made about the beetle?
But at beetle I can see the truth as it is.
Right. Without
need to confirm it. That's phenomenal. But I don't get its truth. I get its appearance. I get its impression. It's what ha'ora. But in that respect, I see it's real truth. A much higher madrig.
And what about Zun?
Huh?
Are you gonna Zun? How is that? What is this? Zeram? What is it? It's Zun.
Zun.
Yeah.
Zun. That is very different. Then there it is by actual effect, by actual transmission. This is what's called Zibur Gufni. That's a much lower degree.
It's Harbe Yosef.
But it's Harbe Yosef. All right, this is it, gentlemen. We're going away to the other side of the world.
Were you going to Australia?
To remain on this call, press 1.
Washington State.
ya ya